Okay, can you see the screen?
Yes.
Very good. All right. You will have the time to go the letter before written above the page. This year, the grading remains the same than last year. 30% in classwork, 20% homework, 35% exam. Oh no, you get 45, right? That's an exam. Yes. The homework is 15 points. Quince, 45, 60, 60. Hold on a second. Percent classwork 25, homework 15, exam 45, 5% for expression, and 10% in values. Okay, which is 100%. On this first week, we are going to read the rat trap. In grammar, we are going to discuss about the present time and the conversation of the week. What is your favorite childhood memory? Welcome, Manuel.
Hello.
Second, Ty. We have through the tunnel, pastime, and conversation. What would be your dream job? On week 3, coming of age, Latino style vision quest, crossing a threshold to adulthood. Okay, guys, I'm so sorry, but since there was a blackout last night, the internet connection is really a pain in the, you know where. Okay. The story for this week is The Rat Trap. I have it here. Let me share it with you. Here. The Rat Trap. About the author, the author is Selma Lagerlof. Funes, can you help us read a little bit
About the author. Selma Lagerlöf, since 1858 to 1940. She was a Swedish writer whose stories have been translated into many languages. A universal theme runs through all of them. I believe that the essential godness in a human being can be awakened through understanding and love. This story is set amidst the minds of Sweden, rich in iron ore, which figure large in the history and legends of that country. Somewhat in the manner of a fairy tale.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, notice this expression in the text. Infer their meaning from the context. Keep body and soul together. Plots along the road. Impenetrable vision. is his way. Things have gone downhill. Hunger gleamed in his eyes. Unwanted joy nodded a haughty consent, fallen into a line of thought. Okay, we are going to start the reading, and I'll ask Ernesto to start the reading.
Okay, once upon a time, there was a man who went around selling small rat traps of wire. He made them himself at odd moments from the material he got by buying in the stores or at the big farms. But even so, the business was not especially profitable. So he had to resort to both beginning and petty thievery to keep body and soul together. Even so, his clothes were in rags, his cheeks were sunken, and hunger gleamed in his eyes. No one can imagine how sad and monotonous a life can appear to a vagabond.
Recording in progress.
Yes, please.
Or about him the whole world with his lads and cities and village was nothing but big rag trap. It had never existed for any other purpose than the set balls for people. It offered riches and joys, shelter and food, heat and clothing, exactly as the rat trap offered cheese and pork. And as soon as anyone let himself be tempted to touch the bait. It closed in on him, and then everything came to an end. The world had, of course, never been very kind to him, so it gave him unbounded joy to think ill of it in this way. It became cherished pastime of his. During many dreary ploddings, to think of people he knew who have let themselves be caught in dangerous snare and others who were still circling around the bait. One dark evening, as he was strolling along the road, he caught sight of little Grace's cottage by the roadside, and he knocked on the door to ask shelter for the night. Nor was he refused. Instead, two sore faces which ordinarily met him. The owner, who has an old man without
Can you continue, Ernesto, please?
okay. Mm, I don't remember where I finished. I think it's more down.
The people knew.
Okay.
Here.
The thing of
Okay.
the people he knew there.
Okay. Thank you. The thing of the people he knew who had let themselves be caught in the dangerous snare, and the others who were still circling around the bait. The one dark evening, as he is strolling along the road, he calls in a little gray cottage by the roadside, and he knocks on the door to ask shelter for the night. Nor was he refused. Instead of the sore faces which ordinarily met him, The owner, who was an old man without wife or child.
Okay. Was he refused? Instead of the sour faces, which ordinarily met him, the owner, who was an old man with a wife or child, was happy to get someone to talk to in his loneliness. Immediately, he put the porridge pot on the fire and gave him supper. Then he carved of such a big slice from his tobacco roll that it was enough both for the stranger's pipe and his own. Finally, he got out an old pack of cards and played Jolies with his guests until bedtime. Okay. Before okay, thank you for letting me know about Sofia Gurso. I would like to know, how do you think a rat trap is related to life in general? And I would like to hear at least 3 opinions. Okay, Emily?
It could be like, for example, taking advantage of the person. It's a rat trap because they're intending to do something with information they're taking out of you.
Okay. Very good. Celeste, how do you think a rat trap can relate or resemble life?
Toxic people around you. I think when you are surrounded by people whose personalities or their way of being is different to yours and you don't like that, maybe they trap you and they try to make you feel like you're not worthy enough. So sometimes toxic people make you feel like if you're trapped and you cannot go out. So that's what I think that's what I can resemble from real life and a rat trap.
Okay. Very good. One more, please.
Miss, another thing that I think is that maybe a rat trap is similar to our life. You know, like the rat always get trapped because he wants the cheese, and in our life is similar because we work for something that we deserve, something that we want, and you know sometimes we are stuck in the same place just because we are working for a thing that we want, and we never sometimes we never go to the finish.
Okay.
Ambition would be the word. Our ambition makes us do things and go to places that are dangerous, but our ambition wants to all the dangerous things that we could go.
Yes. So in life, as you mentioned, we can find many different rat traps, and we have to be clever not to fall into one of those. Okay. Mm. Okay, the guest who was informed at once that in his days of prosperity, his host had been a crofter at Rancho Ironworks and had worked on the land. Now that he was no longer able to do day labor, it was his cow which supported him. Yes, that bossy was extraordinary. She could give milk for the creamery every day, and last month he had received all the 30 kroner in payment. Stranger must have seemed incredulous. The old man got up and went to the window, took down a leather pouch which hung on a nail in the very window frame, and picked out 3 wrinkled 10 kroner bills. These he held up for the eyes of his guest, nodding knowingly, and then stuffed them back into the pouch. The next day, both men got up in good season. The crofter was in a hurry to milk his cow, and the other man probably thought he should not stay in bed when the head of a house had gotten up. They left the cottage at the same time. The crofter locked the door and put the key in his pocket. The man with the rat trap said goodbye and thank you, and thereupon each went his own way. But half an hour later, the rat trap peddler stood again before the door. He did not try to get in, however. He only went up to the window, smashed a pane stuck in his hand, and got hold of the pouch with the 30 kroner. He took the money and thrust it into his own pocket. Then he hung the leather pouch very carefully back in its place and went away. As he walked along with the money in his pocket, he felt quite pleased with his smartness. He realized, of course, that at first he dare not continue on the public highway, but must turn off the road into the woods. During the first hours, he caused him no difficulty. Later in the day, it became worse, for it was big and confusing forest which he had gotten into. He tried to be sure to walk in a definite direction, but the path twisted back and forth so strangely. He walked and walked without coming to an end of the wood, and finally he realized that he had only been walking around in the same part of the forest. All at once, he recalled his thoughts about the world and the rat trap. Now his own turn had come. Himself be fooled by a bait and had been caught. The whole forest, with its trunks and branches, its thickets and fallen logs, closed in upon him like an impenetrable prison from which he could never escape. Now, from where did the peddler get the idea of the world being a rat trap? Okay, we have that Oscar participated, Celeste, and Emily. Where do you think the peddler, or the one that sells the rat traps, got the idea that the world is a rat trap itself?